Hello and welcome, everyone. If you could type in yes into the live chat just to let me know, just maybe one or two of you, so that my mic is live. Never hurts to double check that. I'll wait until you do that. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and type your questions into the chat and I will answer them. My name is Andrew Krauss. I co-founded InventRight with Stephen Key over 20 years ago, or coming up on 21 years. And we've been coaching and mentoring inventors to license their products, which means to rent or lease your product to a large company. It's their money, it's their workforce, and it's their distribution. So you don't need to start a business. You don't need to raise money. You don't need to have a workforce. You don't need to do accounting and bookkeeping and managing employees. You don't need to do all that junk you need to do when you run a business. And that's what licensing is. And it's really, really cool. And that's what we do. Okay, it seems like you guys can hear me just fine. So thank you. Let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to do a full hour of Q&A. Like I said, my name is Andrew Krauss. I'm the co-founder of InventRight. I've been coaching and mentoring inventors for the last 20 years. I no longer coach and mentor one-on-one because we have 10 coaches and a negotiation coach. We've really grown over the years. I'm very proud of that. And we've had students in over 65 countries, which has been really, really cool. And we're all about really, truly empowering our students to license products. When people say, oh, can you just do it for me, Andrew? Or can you just do it for me? And that's what these invention promotion companies do. And I've never met an inventor that had an invention promotion company license a product for them. But I talk to somebody just about every other day. It's been taken for 10 or 12 grand. Our students are licensing products and doing deals because they're actually doing the work when a lot of invention promotion companies don't. And our students are getting out there in front of companies, and I'm very, very proud of that. And we've been doing these Q&As for quite a while now, since the pandemic started, and I'm very proud of that too. We do a lot of free education for inventors. You can check out our YouTube channel if you haven't. I think we got over 600 videos in there, and they're all good stuff. We don't give you a big sales pitch on our coaching program. When you watch our videos, occasionally we'll talk about it, but people feel like it's pretty chill. And I can tell you that when I watch my favorite YouTubers, I don't want to be constantly being pitched on some sort of program or product or anything. So hope you guys appreciate that we don't do that to you either. People do ask questions though about the coaching on these Q&A sessions, and I answer them if people ask them. So let's get going here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So the types, God, I wish I could make this type a little bigger. There we go. Okay. So Jonathan says, thanks for everything, Andrew. Tomorrow's a big day where I send my first submission. Extremely nervous. Any tips on how to make sure the sell sheet is up to scratch and what to write the first time to them? One really great tip that I think I've given on here before is do the laptop test, or if you have a printed sell sheet, which most of you don't have or need. If you have a PDF version of your sell sheet or video, put it on a laptop. And you can use an innocent bystander, a friend, family member. They could be really negative person. They could be really super positive. They could be somewhere in between. It doesn't matter with this method. And if you don't have a coach, this could be a great way to test if your marketing piece is effective. So you put it on your laptop. You can put it on your desktop too, and just sit the person in front of in front of the desktop. But the reason why I like a laptop, it works with a desktop, you want to stand on the other side of the monitor. So you're not looking at the sell sheet with them. You're looking from the other side and you're staring them, literally staring, like their movement of their eyes, facial expressions and things. And what you do is you just turn it on. The second that you show them your marketing presentation, you're looking at their face. A good marketing presentation, they'll be able to get your product in like 6 seconds. And if they ask you a question, do not say anything. Oh, the other part of this is that you can't have ever talked to them about your product ever before. Okay? So if you've talked about it to your wife or your husband or your kids or your friend or whoever, it's not going to work. You want them to look at it fresh. They never heard about this. Doesn't matter if they like you or don't like you or whatever. You're going to look at their facial expression to see if they look confused, to see if they're getting it, to see if they're asking you questions. If they ask you, say nothing. Let them keep asking questions and just let them let them keep asking you questions. And so, it might just be them, but if you show it to, 2 or 3 or 4, and people are consistently confused, then it's not good enough. So, Jonathan, before you push it out, I would show it to a few people, friends and family. So you don't need to have them sign an NDA. If you want to have somebody sign an NDA, you can do that. And see if they're getting it right away. And I think you'll find, I can tell you when I see sell sheets from non-InventRight students, a lot of them are very poor. I'm just going to say it. They're very, very poor. All of us look at marketing, but it doesn't mean we're good at doing it ourselves for our own products. And I even see InventRight students that they do marketing for a living, but then when they do it on their own thing, they're so wrapped up in it themselves, it could be a lot better. So, and then I see other people, sometimes I see ones that are really good, but a lot of times it's just okay, or it's pretty damn bad. So, Jonathan, if you're going to reach out to 30 companies, 20, 30 companies, maybe sometimes only 12, depends on your product, you don't want to be reaching out with a poor marketing piece. It doesn't matter how hard you work to reach out. If your marketing piece isn't driving the benefit home, it's not good enough. And that marketing piece is not for them. It's for their customer. So you want them to look at it and go, oh, if my customer saw this, they would get that. So if they struggle with it, they're going to think their customer is going to struggle with it too. So that would be, I call it the laptop test. And so I would definitely do that, Jonathan. JCH Express. Hi, Andrew. On average, how long does it take from idea to signed royalty contract? I know it varies, but just wondering what you'd say the average time is it takes from idea to contract. Well, nobody on the face of the planet, no matter how good of an inventor you are, is going to license every product they work on. And that's why we always train our students not to spend $10,000 on a patent, $5,000 on a prototype. Spend a few bucks on a sell sheet, maybe virtual prototype, maybe you cobble together a prototype, and spend $75 on a provisional patent. So if for some reason nobody's biting, you can always move on to your next idea. So to say, how long does it take from idea to sign contract? What I can tell you, which we did some research on, when our students get interest, on average, it's 3 months from the time, for the ones they sign, 3 months from the time they get initial interest to the time the deal is signed. That's from initial interest, not from, you said, how long does it take from idea to signed? That could be years if somebody's messing around with, never reaching out to companies. Our students don't do that. So I can't really give you an answer to that. But from initial interest, oh, this company's showing interest, to sign, on average, it's 3 months. It can be less, it can be more, but the average over the last 20 years is 3 months. And people are like, wow, that's a long time. Well, maybe they need to get some quotes in China. Maybe there's Sally and she's on vacation for a week. There's some bureaucracy in the company. Well, we're not going to have that meeting for 2 weeks. These are the reasons, some of the reasons why it can take a while. Well, we need to have our designers look at, we need to fix this issue or that issue. That doesn't happen overnight. You don't get interest from a company and they're signing 2 weeks later. And if you expect that, you're in the wrong mindset and you're not going to be guiding them. And yes, you're guiding them more than they're guiding you. Our students are guiding the people in the companies more than they are guiding the inventor. Absolutely. And that shocks people. So that's 3 months. So, you might get interest from 4 companies. And then after a little bit, 2 or 3 fall off and you end up doing a deal with 1. You might get interest from none. And you push it back out 6 months later to all the same companies that said no, and you license it. Our students, that happens to our students all the time. But they wouldn't even do it if we didn't tell them to. So I'm going to tell you, you should do that. If they're not giving you specific reasons why they're not taking action, you need to push it all back out like 6 months later, and you'll get lucky. And that marketing manager who is super busy and just replied, not interested, not this time, because they were busy, not because your idea wasn't good. Now, 2 weeks, 6 months later, 2 weeks earlier, their boss said, oh, we need new products. And now they're taking a look at it when they didn't really bother to look at it before. So a lot of inventors don't understand this. So I can't tell you how long, JCH Express, how long it would take from having an idea to licensing. It depends on the work you put in, and the fact that you're getting it in front of companies. And this thought, which I think it's subconscious for a lot of members. This is such a great idea that you will license every single product you work on is a ridiculous thought. Some people, they focus on that because they blow tons of money on patents and prototypes, and they're like, it's got to work, and it doesn't matter how much money you spend on it. That's not going to make it work. That's not what makes things work. Does the idea make sense? Is the marketing good? Are you really pushing it out? Are you, and not accepting until you get a no from everybody? And then even then, maybe not accepting the no and pushing it back out 6 or 8 months later. So I can't answer your question. How long does it take from the moment I have a thought, an idea, till a deal gets signed? I can't answer that question. It's not possible to. Jeff said, hey, Andrew, if someone likes a DRTV, like DRTV puts a product in a web test, does that become public disclosure? It's a good question. Yeah, I would say definitely for the most part. If they're pushing it out on using Facebook ads or a web test, usually they'll have like 10,000 people they'll push a web test out to, and that's public because it's an email going out to 10,000 people, and they want to see how many people like click on it or show interest. Or actually, some of them, what they'll do is they'll see how many people will actually try to order it, and they'll follow through with the order. And then after I have mixed feelings about people doing this, but I understand why. When somebody actually orders it, it will say, oh, sorry, this is on back order. Do you want us to let you know when it's ready? And we didn't take your money. They want to actually see if not somebody just clicks on it, but somebody actually orders it. So yes, if they're doing a web test, that would be considered public disclosure. So if you hadn't made a public disclosure before then and privately showing it to companies for licenses not, that would start that 1-year on-bar rule from ticking. So what you could do is file shortly before that another PPA, and you get a whole year, and then you'll have a year from that time to file a full utility patent. And by the way, everything we share tonight shouldn't be considered legal advice. Don't move forward on anything unless you consult an attorney. So that's just my little disclaimer there. Let's see what else we got here. Freddie, and by the way, type your first name if you can, so I don't have to read your screen handle. I can read your true first name instead. Freddie, hi Andrew, can you reach out to too many companies at once? Should I submit to just a few companies at a time, or reach out to everyone on my list as soon as possible? You should blast it out to everyone on your list. You're going to want to shoot yourself in the head if you do it one at a time. The only time we advise people to do it one at a time is DRTV infomercial guys, because they're kind of sensitive about that. Like, who else did you show it to? They're kind of almost paranoid about it. Other industries, they don't care that much for the most part. So imagine this. You reach out to one company. They're like, oh, we're kind of interested. Oh, okay, no, I'm going to stop because these are my guys. And you're talking back and forth, 2.5 months. We decided not to. Crap. Okay, you reach out to another 5 companies. Another one shows interest. Back and forth, 3 months. We decided we're not to. You could string this thing out forever that way. If you've got 20 companies, 30 companies, you reach out to them all at the same time. And it's okay to have interest from multiple. They naturally fall off. It is not a good use of your time to reach out to one at a time. It is a ridiculously terrible use of your time to do that. Never, ever do that. We train our students not to do that. There's no reason for it. You have no loyalty to these companies until they sign a deal with you. Okay. And it's perfectly okay to have interest from multiple companies. They naturally fall off. It's rare that you're at a contract stage with multiple. And I can say that we've been doing this for almost 21 years now. I can say they naturally fall off. It's not a problem. And if you run into that problem, it's a great problem to have. But do not do that. Reach out to them all. Shotgun blast. Okay. I don't have a real name here. So Daniel Fultz, Rothman. Is there a distinct difference between a product developer and an inventor? Some companies don't know what to make of the word inventor. So there's a difference with us. What we've been training our students to say is in your email signature, when you represent yourself, when you're talking to them, you always say you're a product developer. People don't know what to make of the word inventor. It conjures up images of a somebody in a tinfoil hat or something, or somebody a little off or a little weird. With us, you can say it, but product developer just sounds more professional. It's also a title that they will use inside corporations. So you want to use it to create an aura of professionalism. So Andrew Krauss, product developer, Andrew Krauss Designs at gmail.com, and you have a phone number. Looks professional. Inventor, not. You should never be using the word inventor when you're trying to license your products. Now, sometimes when you license to a company and they're okay with you doing some publicity to help them, to the media, it's very fascinating. It sounds great, inventor, interesting person, But with companies, it conjures up certain images, and product developer sounds more professional. So thank you for that question. I haven't gotten that in a long time. It's one of the core things that we teach at InventRight. So use product developer. Just do not use inventor. I can't think of a time where it would be a good idea when you're working on licensing your products, which might surprise a lot of you. So hopefully, if that was the one thing you guys take away tonight, that would be great. Let's see. Lamb, hi Andrew. For highly integrated digital products, how to determine what to license? I don't know what a highly integrated digital product is. How to determine what to license? It's no longer just the look and feel or potential functionality benefits. They are independent as a holistic. Okay, I have no idea what you just said. So if you could be a little bit more specific and go ahead, Lamb. Oh, here you go. Continue it. Product can be expansive. What the simplified approach to companies for the involved products. I'm just reading it word for word. Involved products, vice prototyping. Okay, I'm losing track of this here. Vice prototyping from scratch I have no idea what you're saying, Lamb. If you could give that some more thought and retype it, I will answer it, but it's a little too all over the place. Tommy says, hi, Andrew. If you've gotten a PPA, can you put that on your resume? Would you put it under skills, and how would you word it? What resume, man? I mean, no company cares when you're licensing about your resume. Nobody cares. And nobody cares what you've licensed before. They just care what you're showing them now. You could have an inventor that's licensed 20 products. They just care what you're showing them right now. So this thought that companies are asking you for a portfolio or a resume, if you're saying, look, I'm doing product development and I got myself a provisional patent, I'm looking for a job and I want to make myself look more rounded, on that resume for a jobby job or something, you're saying, can you put that on your resume? Would you put it under your skills, and how would you word it? I don't know. You don't need it for licensing. You will never need to show a resume to anybody when you're licensing that I can think of. But if you're looking for a job and you think it's going to make you look more dynamic, you can say you've experienced, I would say you have experience filing intellectual property. Intellectual property is just copyrights, patents, and trademarks, but it sounds fancy. And that's the way I would put it. I have experience filing intellectual property. That's the way I would put it, Tommy, if you want to add something to your resume. I know a lot of people are in flux right now, going from one job to another, what have you. So if that helps you, but you don't need it with your licensing stuff. They don't care. Becca, why would a company refuse to sign an NDA? Would you consider this a red flag? I would not consider it as a red flag whatsoever. And that shocks a lot of people. But I'll tell you why. Oh, so imagine, this is a silly example, but it illustrates the point. You're a company, you're doing gardening products, okay? And you get 100 new ideas a month from inventors. And every inventor insists on the company signing their NDA. It's not practical for the company at all. So the company and their legal representation would need to review every single NDA, every single word, to make sure you didn't slip something funky in there that says you own their company, or if there's anything adjacent to what you're submitting, you own their product as well. Just some weird ass stuff, right? It's not practical. Your main protection, and everything I'm sharing tonight is not legal advice, so seek the service of an attorney. It's just general business advice, so don't act on anything without consulting an attorney. But you filed your provisional patent. You have the ability to say patent pending. You've created a paper trail on what you're showing them and when. Why are you going to insist they sign your NDA? Now, usually the people that say that are patent attorneys or attorneys that have never licensed anything in their life. The reality of it is what I just said earlier. If every single company you ask to sign an NDA, a few might. Like in the average industry, if you had 10 companies, I would say if you get lucky, 2 out of 10 would agree to it. Now, it is very common in Europe. NDAs are very common in Europe, but American companies don't like them. American companies are more open to ideas than European companies. I'm not saying European companies are closed, but they're more open. European companies are very used to signing NDAs, and they'll do it. But it's just time consuming for them. It's not practical for them. Okay. And it's not going to protect you as much as you think it is either. It really isn't. NDAs aren't this Iron Man, Superman kryptonite protection that you think they are. So the provisional patent for $75 is the main form of protection that our students use when they're presenting to companies. So whoever is telling you, insist every company you present to sign an NDA, otherwise don't show it to them. They've never licensed before. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the practical, real world side of licensing. And hey, if you're only comfortable doing that, great. You will probably never license anything. You will probably never license anything because you're going to get through to so few companies. Now, let's say you show them your sell sheet. You filed your PPA, you show them your sell sheet, and they want you to send schematics and a prototype and detailed stuff. Well, now maybe you're one of 3 inventors out of 100 that month that they wanted to see an idea from. So at that point, if you're asking them to sign your NDA or them to sign theirs, that might be practical at that point. And they might be okay with that because now they're reviewing 3 NDAs a month, not 100. A lot of times they'll ask you to sign theirs. Sometimes they'll offer you some form of protection. A lot of times they won't. That's easy for them because their attorney approved it. And now they're like, no, everybody's got to sign our NDA. So you just make sure again, they're not doing something funky. Like we'll pay you a maximum of $5,000 for an idea. Occasionally, I will see companies doing that sort of thing. Or we own whatever you send us. It's rare, but I do see it. So read through that. Do not be lazy. Read through it. If they have an NDA, and readily sign it and send it in if you agree with what's in it. Perfectly okay. But most of the time, our students are in this limbo. They're not asking you something. You're not asking them, but you filed your provisional patent. You created a paper trail on what you showed them and when, and you filed a provisional patent. I think I was very, very thorough with that answer. So I won't ramble anymore, give an answer, but thank you. Who asked that question? Now I'm losing track. It was a great question, whoever asked it. So is that a red flag? Absolutely not. I think it's the norm. So I'm glad that you asked the question. Everybody, it was Becca. Thank you, Becca. And everybody got the answer. William says, hello, InventRight family. Thank you, William. That's nice of you. Consider us family and everybody. That's great. I think we are kind of a family here at InventRight. Let's see. Jason says, what's a good amount of time to give a company to review your idea until you follow up? It's going to be different with every company. I would give them all at least 10 days before following up once with them. At least 10 days, if not 2 weeks. It's normal. It's hard for people to do, but you keep yourself busy. You won't get obsessed with it. You keep yourself busy approaching more companies, following up with others, and then you'll be okay with it. But definitely don't be like, oh, you didn't get back to me the next day. That's amateur hour. Don't do that. Nick says, thank you so much for the Q&As. Thank you, Andrew. You're welcome, Nick. Okay, Freddie, Andrew, you guys always say not to build a prototype. No, we don't say that. But in some ways we do. But encourage creating a video to go along with your sell sheet. Would you create a rough prototype to make a video of your product? It really, Freddie, it really depends on the product. So if sometimes it's easy just to buy something at the store, cannibalize it, and then you throw that in your sell sheet, take a picture of it, and that's great. So we're not saying to never make a prototype, but sometimes it's hard to do that. And we do virtual prototypes for our students where we do a rendering, we put that in the sell sheet because you're not selling your prototype or your patent. So a lot of people think they are. And so if that's one thing, some of you are new to this, to InventRight, you're not selling your prototype or your patent. You're selling the benefit of your product. The marketing piece, the sell sheet or the video, establish the benefit of the product, and you don't need a prototype to do that quite often, which will answer your question, Freddie. So you have a virtual prototype in the sell sheet or something you cobbled together, that you bought at the store, you modified it, and it looks like it works, but doesn't work at all. Great, take a picture of that, put that in your sell sheet, or get a virtual prototype done. Because what you're truly selling is the benefit of the product. And you're like, well, I can't make the prototype, but I know the company can. So why would you go through all that effort when you know it's fairly straightforward when the company looks at it and they're like, oh yeah, we can make that, by looking at similar products, and they're like, we can make that. So, but what Freddie was asking is sometimes he's saying, you guys are saying, make a video. And if you make a video of it, you can do a lot to fake it like that. So maybe your you know that they can make the product, okay? Or you're fairly certain, but your prototype's kind of hacked together, kind of duct tape on the back. Let's just say, for the sake of illustrative purposes, a dog toy. And you put the duct tape on the back and you throw it, and the dog gets it and plays with it. And maybe only 1 in 10 times it doesn't fall apart, right? But because you know that they can do it and you're just having a hard time making it, that's what you put in the video, because that's showing the benefit. Because again, you're not selling your prototype, you're not being disingenuous, you're not lying, you're just doing your best to create the marketing piece, the movie magic, where you show it from a certain angle or a certain distance or in a certain way, that one time that it gets shot right, because that's what you're trying to relay. You're trying to show the dog having fun with it, not it falling apart, right? And so you don't need to have this beautiful production-ready prototype. Again, you're selling benefits, not a prototype or a patent. So yeah, Freddie, you could make a prototype where you cobble something together and you show it working in the video, and that might be something you need to do. That's one of those things that we go over with our students one-on-one with the coach. And sometimes the coach is like, oh, hell no, you don't need to do a video on that. It's going to be relayed just fine with a sell sheet. Other times they're like, maybe we want a sell sheet plus a video. Or sometimes they're like, oh, just a video will do. So it's always a sell sheet or a video or a sell sheet and a video. It really depends on the product. And there's no way without actually showing a product and going through that I could illustrate. But our students start to get a feel for it, and they start to know when they need what. And without actually, which we're not going to publicly disclose your product here. And you guys, that's a disclaimer too. Don't publicly disclose anything on this chat. There's no way I could illustrate what's appropriate when. That's just something that you learn. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. The chat always jumps up, so I lose my place. Okay, Raul. Hi, Andrew. How much of the engineering, if any, do we have to figure out prior to submitting an idea to a company? Most of the time, none. Some of the time, some. Sometimes the engineering you're figuring out, most of you aren't engineers, some of you are, is looking at similar products and going, oh, if they can do that, they can do mine, but I'm just changing something, putting the hinge on the side. So you don't even need to fully understand the product that you're licensing if there's examples of it being done somewhere. Maybe it's an electronic product, you're not understanding how it fully works, but you understand your piece of it. You're putting a hinge and it's letting you fold the product over or do this or that. So it completely depends, Raul, on the product. It completely depends. And if you can cite similar products and you can tell them the change they're going to make, that's all you need to know. But sometimes you're like, I can't find an example of something similar, and then my change is not obvious. And maybe you do need to do some engineering, but you'd be surprised how little our students can get away with on doing so little and just going fishing and seeing what the interest level is. And again, without talking about specific products, I can't get into that. But no company will get pissed and yell at you and go, oh my God, you just lied to me. Really? You haven't figured that out? But, I give a ridiculous example, okay? And I gave this to somebody on Friday, I remember. If you have an idea for a robot, and I think I give this an example, it jumps up on your roof and shingles your house, when you re-roof a house. And it's a robot that's going to re-shingle this house so the workers don't need to sweat. They don't need to risk falling off the roof. Maybe there's less liability insurance and you're going to get it done quicker. It's going to get it done cheaper. Okay, those are all the benefits of having a robot that can shingle your roof instead of people, right? But if you came up with that idea and you got no freaking idea and the company's like, well, that's amazing. How do we do that? And you're like, I don't know, but I think it's a good idea. That's stupid, okay? Don't be that inventor. And sometimes I run into inventors that are like, don't be that inventor. That's ridiculous, okay? But sometimes it's like there's a little bit of engineering work. You're not quite sure, and you just want to see if there's interest first. But you're like, I'm like 70% sure they can do that, and that's enough. But if you're like, I have no freaking idea, I can't compare it to similar things, to cite them, to say, well, you can do that and that piece because it's proven with this and this product, but I'm changing these things. Don't be that guy with the robot and be because that is wacky inventor territory. But there's a lot in between there that's perfectly acceptable. Again, without specific examples, I can't say. But I cannot remember a time. We've had students in 65 countries. We have a lot of students, folks. And I can't remember a coach saying, oh, the student said that the company got all mad because they didn't have all this worked out. And they might be like, well, we don't know how to do that. And we don't want to spend the time. A lot of times they're like, oh, we can look into that. Oh, that's a good suggestion. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we could do it like that. We'll look into that. We'll get some quotes to manufacture it like that. And then they might come back and go, the price, it's not going to work because of this or that. And the inventor's like, well, I got another idea. And there's some back and forth there. But because you pitch them the idea, you have that opportunity for that back and forth. And you work with them and whoever, the company that they're contract manufacturer they're working with or their own factory, and you work it out. But don't be the guy with the robot that jumps up on the roof and shingles it. And when they ask you how it's done, you're like, I don't know. That's ridiculous, but that's a ridiculously complicated product. Sometimes the engineering is not complicated and it's going to be fairly obvious. And sometimes you'll cross your fingers a little bit and go, I'm just going to see if there's interest here. And that's okay. Most inventors don't do that. It's okay to do that. I'm telling you, they won't get mad at you and yell at you. And if they show interest and they're like, well, we don't know how to do that, and we don't really want to mess with it. But if you can figure it out, come back. Well, then at least you got some interest. So now if you did need to invest some money to pay an engineer to figure things out, you at least you have a company interested, So again, without specific examples, but generally, I hopefully I'm painting a picture for you guys. Nick said, great question, Raul. Yes, I agree. It is a great question. Thank you, Raul. Nick says, should we put a drawing of our product in our competition? I'm reading it word for word, guys. In our competition, or will that be kept private and still PPA capable? I'm sure it'll be private. I'm sure you'll keep private, but just for confirmation. Thanks. Okay. I don't know. I'm assuming what you're saying, Nick, is should you put a drawing? So in your PPA, guys, you shouldn't hold back on anything ever. You should fully disclose what the product is and how it works and all the product variations. So that's what you should do, Nick. You shouldn't hold back on any of that. And when you have a provisional patent, it's completely private. The patent office does not disclose that to anybody, nor can anyone look at it. So that's all private. So, and that's a beautiful thing. Even when you file a full utility patent, after 18 months, it becomes public, even if it hasn't been issued yet. And a provisional gives you complete privacy. So yes, you should fully disclose what your product is and how it works and all the product variations. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Nick, in your provisional patent application. You're welcome, Raul. Yes, you should. Hopefully that's your question, Nick. We got another Nick, different Nick. Hi, Andrew. Really enjoying your Q&A sessions. Funny, I'm working through your smart IP right now, and this is at this very second. Wow. You're not paying attention, Nick. You're writing your provisional patent while you're listening to me. Okay, I'm not insulted. I'm honored actually that you're that hard of a worker. Okay, this one's from Corey. I spent almost 6 months contacting companies and I have not got a licensing deal, but now I thought of some improvements. Should I recontact the companies? Well, my question is, did you reach out to 20 or 30 companies? If you didn't, you need to reach out to more. There's probably more. Most people don't know how to make a really thorough list of companies. So that's something you should consider doing. You should also take a look at your marketing materials, get some feedback from companies. If you're not getting feedback, maybe your presentation's not good. Maybe your marketing's not clear. But if you came up with improvements, it's absolutely okay to rechange it up. It's an opportunity to say, look, I came up with a variation. I don't know if you saw this before, but I improved the benefits of my product. Can you take a quick 1-minute look at it? Is that okay to reach back out to companies saying that? Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. We get students that license all the time that way. And can you reach out to companies? Absolutely, you can. Yeah, a lot of people don't think they can. Absolutely. They're very busy doing other things. They probably barely remember your product. And if they see it a second time, they won't yell at you. I already saw this. Why are you sending this to me again? Well, give them a reason why. And just say you just want a minute of their time just to let them know. Make it easy for them to say no. And if it's not a right match, just simply reply with not a right match. It's okay. Spencer, hi, hey Andrew. When putting together a pitch video, if it's a niche product, can I advertise more affordable costs as a benefit? Spencer, I can't answer that without knowing what the product is. I need to know what the product is to know what the benefits are. So if it's more affordable, most of the time the cost is going to be a benefit. And usually there's a big benefit and a few sub benefits. And especially if you're doing a video, you can cram more stuff into a video than you can a sell sheet. So it's probably appropriate, but I don't know your product, so I can't say for sure. Tommy says, hi, Andrew. If I see a TV show or a game show that can be a board game, can I promote it as that TV show, or should I make it and name it something else? Would I need permission from the TV show networks? Yes, you would absolutely need permission from the TV show networks if you're using the name of the show. Let's say it's Jeopardy. I think our good friend Alex Trebek, who Stephen, our other co-founder, personally knew, just recently passed away. So we were very sad about that. He seemed like an amazing guy. So if you want to do a Jeopardy board game, that's their trademark, man. You're not using that. I had a student that had a product, it was a football related product, and he didn't let us know. This is way back in the day when I was still coaching. And he didn't let us know he had a website with NFL logos all over it, and they sent him a cease and desist. You can't do that. You can privately show other people's logos and say all the trademarks are owned by the respective trademark owners, and these are just for descriptive purposes, illustrative purposes, and privately show it via email to a potential licensee. But you can't publicly show that. That's their brand. They built that up. You don't want to dirty their name with something they don't think is appropriate. And also, if it's less specifically Jeopardy, well, if you don't get the permission from that one game show, now you're screwed. I mean, you might approach a bunch of board game companies and say, oh, you should do this Jeopardy board game. They're like, well, we don't. Now you're going to have to convince them and convince Jeopardy. So that's going to be hard. So, but you could genericize it, providing you're not violating the copyright of the rules. If it's just like Jeopardy, but they call it something else, well, that's not going to work either, because they've probably got that stuff protected too. So you absolutely need permission. So Tommy, it's not looking really good, if you did a variation of a game show and it was far enough away, it might work. And you genericized it, so you don't need their brand, but it's kind of hard to put all those moving parts together. But it's possible, but hard, not ideal. Jeremiah, hey Andrew, I want to submit an idea to Gojo, but they state no confidentiality obligations. Will be free to copy, disclose, and use anything without notice. Well, if I don't know who Gojo is, but if they say on the website that they're freely use anything, first of all, they can't say that if you've got intellectual property, but I wouldn't submit to any website that says that. So you might go into another door, but that's a bit of a red flag that they can use anything you send them. That's not the same as saying it won't be confidential. Saying we can't agree to keep whatever you send as confidential is actually fairly normal. You filed a provisional patent. Personally, myself, I'd be okay with sending that. But to say they own anything you send, that's a whole nother ballgame. And you can send them an email saying, can we make an exception? But it's basically a big red flag. I'd probably move on for the most part. Let's see, Freddie, Andrew, the companies that I'm trying to license to are brands owned by parent companies. In this situation, would you suggest reaching out to the individual brand or the parent company? Both. Whoever you can get an ear from, doesn't matter, both. I would reach out to both. If there's a parent company, a smaller company, reach out to both. Usually a smaller company, a little more approachable. Whoever you can, whatever marketing manager you can bend the ear of, both. And I find that most inventors they're not as outgoing as shot, for the lack of a better term, shotgun blast-ish, if that's a term. Get it out to everybody. You can't, if they're companies with products in stores, you can't get it out to enough as long as they're appropriate for your type of product. And don't overthink it. Don't be stingy with who you put it out to if they're on your list and you would enjoy, if you believe there would be somebody that could sell it. Rule says, thank you, Andrew. You're welcome. Handy the Sock is your handle. When it's hard to take that seriously, but I remember you, Handy. I'll just call you Handy. When approaching a company to license a brand, would you disclose right away how much you are looking for in terms of guarantees? Hell no, never in a million years. It's not something to be discussed. You're looking to get interest. Are they interested in your product? And it's not something you're going to talk about on the first call either. Minimum guarantees? Hell no. That's something you deal with later. No. David said, can you talk about how much a first-time inventor should expect to pay if they use InventRight from start to finish? Thank you. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just going to assume what you mean by that. I'm assuming that you're talking about our coaching fees or what we charge. I just realized I didn't put up my lights. It looks a little bit more faded there. Look all washed out. Forgot about that. So we've got our academy program. We've got our one-on-one coaching program. The academy program is about $900. And that's not a personal one-on-one coaching. It's group coaching twice a week for an hour, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's $900. With that one, the sell sheet isn't included. Virtual prototype's not included, but we give a huge discount to people. So I think that'd be, I don't know what we charge there to academy students. It's like, I think it's about $100 for a sell sheet, and it's pretty affordable for a virtual prototype. It's fairly insignificant. And then $75 for a provisional patent. That's the cost to file a provisional patent with the patent office. We give you smart IP to write that. And then for one-on-one coaching, it's about $3,000, and we help you for half a year. Includes your coach every week and email anytime with questions. Coach every week, one-on-one. And then our negotiation coach, Paul, so you don't need to contact the licensing attorney. He'll get you to about 95% done with the deal. And then you need to have a licensing attorney dot the I's and cross the T's. We know a licensing attorney that if it's gone through our negotiation coach, usually months of back and forth, he'll only charge like $375 to go over a contract that our negotiation coach has gone through. So that's pretty affordable. And then $75 for you up front to file a provisional patent, sell sheet, virtual prototypes included. So it's pretty much the cost if you had a really difficult project where you needed to make a prototype, which most of our students don't. Obviously, this might be additional cost. So I'd say about $3,000. But we're empowering you with skills to license products the rest of your life. So, you wouldn't need to do that in project number 2 and project number 3. So those are some general costs that, coming from InventRight, and some ancillary other things you need to do. You don't need to file a $10,000 patent. You do a $75 provisional patent. You don't need to do a $5,000 prototype. Vast majority of the time, there are exceptions. Most of the time, you just need to do a virtual prototype that's included. Marketing materials included. You work with your coach on the marketing materials would be, and then you send it to our design studio and they make beautiful marketing piece. But our design studio, they're not marketers, they're designers. So your coach and you are the marketer, and the design studio is the designer. So hopefully that gives you a general idea. Obviously the academy is more affordable, but it's not the same as one-on-one coaching, where you can say anything to your coach, because you can't say anything with 18 other people on the line, obviously. But that can be very helpful as well. Okay, so Lamb, thank you for how Lamb rephrased his question. Rephrased question: how to go about licensing a complex product like an iPod? The whole design requires both look and feel and functionality, and not just a simple aspect of the product. Okay, yeah, I would say the design of the product is very important. So you put your best foot forward on what you think the design is going to look like, and you do your research on the back end on what the inner workings are going to be, and you pitch it. And maybe they want to redo it from your look. Maybe they want to redo the innards of it. You won't know. So you should just move forward. Again, without knowing exactly what your product is, I can't say. So I can't say, Lamb. Handy the Sock says, when approaching a company to license a brand, would you disclose right away how much you are looking for in terms of guarantees? Handy, I don't know what you mean by licensing a brand. I don't know, like you're licensing a trademark. If you could type in what you mean by licensing a brand, I don't know what you mean by that. And then I'd be happy to answer it. We have 12 minutes left, so if you type it in quick, I should be able to get to it. Okay. Todd, hi. If I find my product out there and I have an improvement, what steps do I take in my PPA, and how do I word it? Do I include a picture of that product or a patent number? No, you don't. So first of all, a lot of products aren't patented. So let's say you come up with an improvement to an existing product, but like you see a company selling something kind of similar, well, there's probably no patent on it. So don't assume because you came up with an improvement to something that you might be worried about violating somebody else's patent. Isn't necessarily the case. So what you're going to patent is whatever your improvement was. Would it make sense if you see that they have a patent to look up that patent and see what actual coverage they're getting? Yeah, it would. So you file in your provisional patent what the product is and what your improvement is. And I would look into, if you see that there's 3 companies making it and they say patented, or patent pending, look up that company name on Google Patents and see what they're claiming or what they're trying to get a patent on. A lot of times you'll find there is no patent. In that case, you can get a patent on the improvement, but not the base product. So let's say 8 people are selling this product, and it's kind of this type of product and a bunch of people are selling it. You can pretty much don't assume, research it, but you can kind of assume like, oh, that's not patented, or there's not good, strong protection there. But you can get strong protection on your improvement, and you can license that improvement, and that's okay. So when inventors are new to this game, they think like falsely, like all products are patented. The vast majority of products are not patented. So you don't have to worry about violating this product that you improved upon because there's no patent on it to begin with. But you should look into that. So you're going to be filing a provisional patent on the improvement. Okay. So that's a good question. Let's see. That was from Todd. Ray, hey Andrew, should I pay a freelance designer to sign an NDA before having them do my sell sheet? Yes. So we talked about NDAs, and that most companies desire not to sign an NDA, or unwillingness to sign an NDA, potential licensees. But any engineer you're going to work with to do some work, or a graphic designer, any graphic designer or engineer or service provider that doesn't sign your NDA, do not work with them. They should readily sign it easily. They should always sign it. Okay. And always. And really, they should even sign an NDA with what's called an improvements clause, that you own any improvements. So if they come into improvement with it, in the almost 21 years now we've been doing InventRight, we have never, ever once had a student that said, oh, this graphic designer or this engineer stole my idea. They wouldn't know how to license the product, even if they thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread most of the time, because they're working for a few bucks to do graphic design or do engineering work. Engineers, not a few bucks, maybe more than a few bucks, but they wouldn't know what to do with it even if they wanted to. So I think that's one of the big form of protection. But any service provider should be willing to sign your NDA, even with an improvements clause, which is overreaching for a potential licensee, which says any improvements they come up with, they own. Like you're like, oh, this product is this, and they're like, oh, you can improve it like this. And if they sign it with an improvements clause, you own that improvement by default. So run screaming if they don't. Don't run screaming. Just say, well, I guess I can't work with you. Okay. We have about 8 minutes left. Jeff says, do you still have a boot camp for a licensing process, or is that essentially what your coaching program is now? Yeah, we're kind of in this limbo. We stopped calling it boot camp. It's personal one-on-one coaching, and we're just working on rebranding that. So we're kind of in limbo there. But the boot camp is our one-on-one coaching. It's the same thing. We just start calling it boot camp. Some people thought because it was boot camp, they thought it was rudimentary or basic, when really with our boot camp or our one-on-one coaching program, we're able to help somebody that is like, I just have a thought in my head and no business background, as somebody with very much business background and have done a ton of work, and everybody in between, because we can customize it because it's one-on-one. So we're looking on rebranding that. Hey, if you got an idea for a new name, call it what to call it, let me know. We're actually internally, we send an email to all our coaches. What do you think we should rebrand it as? But it's the same thing. One-on-one coaching or group coaching. The academy is the group coaching, and the one-on-one coaching is what we used to call boot camp. And I stopped calling it that for the last couple of months, but same thing. Let's see. So David says, when you sign up for InventRight coaching, do you get to keep access to the resources forever, or just the 6 months? We send our students a guidebook, and you get to keep that forever, but not access to the website. We do have some alumni programs where you can get access to the website, because there's just insane amounts of trainings in there. And we do things like, so we do have programs that include access to the site with the monthly co-founder calls, master classes, open office hour Q&As when you ask a coach question, but it's not one-on-one. We do have Alumni and Alumni Plus where you can do it without the coaching. And that's a good option for some folks, but you can also renew at a huge discount. Like if people sign up for another 6 months, it's like $1,300 less. It's a huge discount. And they get 3 sell sheets and virtual prototypes instead of 1 if people renew. So we do really support our past students. And it doesn't matter. I've had students come back after 8 years. I have a difficult deal, and they can come back and they still get that huge discount. So we do have a lot of options there, David. But no, after the 6 months, you do not get access to the website, but you do get to keep the guidebook. And what you really keep is your real life experience. We sell experiential learning, feeling it, experiencing it, doing it. It's not access or hoarding resources like, well, I'll keep this all here if I need it. It's kicking you in the butt, making you do it, feeling it, experiencing it, so you can say to us at some point, it's different points for different people. I get it, guys. I don't need you anymore. And if I do get it over my head, I know you'll always be there for me because you've been there for 20 years. And our plans are to be around for another 20. My daughter's 8. And I think it would be cool. If she doesn't want to be involved in the family business, that's fine. But I think it would be really cool if she got involved some way, when she gets older. So we plan to be around another 20 or 40 years. That would be amazing because I think we've created something very, very special. Our students tell us it's special. Our fans tell us it's special. We want InventRight to continue on without Stephen or myself. And we're trying to set things up as such. So we're always there for you. Whether it's fans like this YouTube show, which is free, or our students. We feel like we're the best in the world at this. And it sounds arrogant, but we know we're literally the best in the world at guiding inventors to license their products. If you can find anybody you think is better than InventRight, tell me who they are. I doubt it. Now, it would be great if there's people that come out there that are as good as us, because the more help that inventors get, I think it's sorely lacking. And there's just a lot of service providers taking advantage of inventors out there. They need to be more transparent companies like us that really, truly try to help people without a bunch of strings attached. Let's see, we got a couple minutes left. So thank you for that question, David. Clyde's, thank you so much, Andrew. Jeff, okay, thanks. Spencer, thank you, Andrew. I start with InventRight Wednesday after I get my prototype in hand. Oh, that's great, Spencer. That's fantastic. Welcome on board. Ray says, thank you, Andrew. I found the freelancers won't want an additional fee. The actual job is like 30 and 50 and the NDA for 50. I don't know what you mean there, Ray. Like they're charging you more if you want to get an NDA signed. I don't know what you mean there. Bohemian Hill. Hey, Andrew, Sebastian here. I was wondering before approaching a company, what are some of the simple things that should be done before approaching things such as a sell sheet, sketch, etc.? Before you approach a company, you can have everything done. You're going to have your research done. Most people don't do that. We force our students to do that. A lot of students don't want to do that up front. Oh, no, I know. Like people say like they know what else is out there. I've been doing this forever. I'll do a 30-second search and I'll find more than they found in a 30-second search because they didn't do the search right. So we don't want that to bite them in the butt. So we force them to do that search. Now, if a student can show us like I really did my search and we can see that, okay, great. We don't make them go back and do that. But people want to put blinders on. That's not our job as a coach. Our job is to make sure that something doesn't bite you in the butt in the future. So you got to do your research, got to do your PPA, got to make your list of companies. You need to get your sell sheet, and then you need to start reaching out to those companies. So those are all the things you're going to do before you reach out with your sell sheet or your video. Star Innovation said, your program is special. Thank you. Appreciate that. Gemini says, it's an amazing school. The price for one-on-one is worth every cent. I could not recommend InventRight more. Thank you, Andrew, as always. Thank you. I don't know your real name, but thank you. I just had your screen handle there. Jeff says, thank you for the valuable lessons. The Sunbay Home, that's their handle. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all your resources you make available to the inventor community. You're welcome. Gavin, another great Q&A. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, so we hit the hour. I want to thank everybody. If you could do me a favor, and I forget, I've never watched my own live stream. I think you can give a thumbs up. If you could give a thumbs up when you're watching our YouTube videos, give a thumbs up. You can comment on videos, help us out. Subscribe. That really helps us. Just click on the subscribe button. It's not like you'll get emails from us or anything, but it helps the algorithm, YouTube algorithm. So subscribe, give a thumbs up, and then occasionally make some comments and things. That would be appreciated when you're watching our videos. That's how you can help me, for me helping you guys for an hour on Mondays these days. And I just really appreciate you guys. I want to remind everybody to take care, keep inventing. Coming up with ideas is part of who you are for most of you. So take action, make it happen, go beyond the idea, reach out to companies, and hopefully, whether you're a student of ours or just a fan of ours, hopefully you feel empowered after doing our stuff and getting our help. So take care, everybody, and keep inventing. Good night. Bye.